Hi everyone, today's lesson is how to create a stripe in Illustrator. This is in prep. This lesson will be in prep for the midterm project that I've assigned to you. We did this together in class, but I'm just going to do another refresh course since we're moving into online training. So this is a stripe that I created, and this is the layout in which I expect your artboards to look like for the midterm project. So this is what one finished pattern board would look like in the midterm project, with the headers that I have up here, as well as color chips and two colorways of the same stripe. So to begin to create a stripe, I'm going to move over here to this next artboard. The really important thing is we're going to use the rectangle tool to do this. And I really want to make sure that you have your fill box with a color on top of your stroke box, which has no fill in it. So really important, a fill color and a no fill color in your stroke box. Double click on your fill color and pick a color from the color picker window. And then use your rectangle tool and just click and drag a long skinny rectangle. Doesn't matter how long it is, just make it shorter than the width of the artboard. Just do one rectangle shape that we are now going to call our first stripe. Let me zoom in here. And then once you do one stripe, you need to copy and paste that same stripe. Command C, Command V to copy paste. And that'll give you your second stripe, and you can double click on the fill color again to recolor it something else. And if you want to change anything about that second stripe, you can change it using the black arrow tool. So click on it with the black arrow, and then you can stretch out the height of the stripe to make a different stripe height. Whatever you do, please do not ever pull from the sides. We need to make sure that each stripe is always the same width across, and the only thing you do is you change the height only. So that's why we copy and paste all these stripes from one stripe to the next. It's always a copy paste so that we keep that width of the stripes consistent, and we're only changing the height to give us a different look. You can recolor it again by clicking on the fill box color. And then again, you can take the black arrow and just hover over those scaling boxes to change the height of that third stripe. So I'm just going to play with 3 stripes right now. I'm actually going to purposely misalign them so you can see that the next step is going to be to align these stripes together. So to have prep to align these stripes together, we're going to go to Window, Align, Window, Align. And this is the window align box that we've seen before. Take the black arrow, hover over all stripes to select them, and you're going to select them under horizontal align left, which is this button I'm clicking on right now. And that will align all your stripes to one edge, and because they are the same width, because we copied and pasted each stripe to get the other stripe, they will remain the same width across, which means now that I align them, they're aligned flush on the left side and now flush on the right side. The next step you need to use in this window align tool is you go under to align to and align to key object, and then you go under distribute spacing, this button right here, vertical distribute space. And what that does is smushes all the stripes together, and now you should have no gaps in between. So once you have that stripe, all of your stripes together, and you don't have to worry about the colors of them right now because you can always recolor them later. But just to get the layout started, we're going to go to Object, select the grouping of stripes using the black arrow, and then go to Object, Pattern, Make. Object, Pattern, Make. This window will open up. All you have to do here is just say OK. And you're going to see that your stripe repeats. And you can zoom in on this window if you want, Command plus to zoom in, just to make sure there's no white gaps anywhere before you hit the word done. In the stripe layout, all you have to do is just check, make sure there's no white gaps, and then you hit done. Then you're out of the Object Pattern Make window. What that Object Pattern Make window just did for you, once you hit the word done, your stripe now appears under Window Swatches. So make sure your Window Swatches box is open. And that stripe will then appear right here at the end. A little thumbnail view of your stripe will appear after you hit done in the object pattern make window. If you don't hit done, it will never appear here. So you have to make sure to click on that word done. Now that you have your stripe repeat in the window swatches, this stripe that I worked on in the beginning is called, I referred to it in class as our origin stripe. That's the starting point of where you started. So I'm just going to push that off into the gray out of the artboard because that's just there for me to hold in case I want to actually change the layout again. I can go back to my origin stripe and change the layout in any way. But right now what I want to do is show my stripe in a full repeat like you see over here for the presentation of the midterm project. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool now and I'm just going to stretch out a square. And this is going to be our fabric swatch that we're going to fill with our pattern. So just stretched out a square using the rectangle tool. And it's filled with a color right now only because I had a fill color in my fill box. But right now I'm going to click, I'm going to make sure my fill box is on top. That's important. Make sure your fill box, the corner is overlapping your stroke box. Go to window swatches and click on your actual stripe repeat that you just did in that object pattern make window a minute ago, and your stripe will be filled inside that square box. This is now going to be called our fabric swatch right here. This is our fabric swatch. So this is our fabric swatch. This could be my colorway number 1, and then when I want to do a colorway number 2, Command C, Command V to copy paste. I'm pasting that same fabric swatch so that all my fabric swatch boxes are consistent. And now when I want to recolor it, I can click up here on the Recolor artwork wheel. If you do not click on your actual swatch, this Recolor artwork wheel will not show itself in the top toolbar. So if you see, if I unclick, it's not there, it disappears. But if I click on it with the black arrow, then all of a sudden the Recolor artwork wheel box shows. So click on that and you will see under Recolor artwork that all the colors that make up this stripe also appear in here. And as I told you in class, please don't double click on the long strips of color. Only double click on these little squares of color over here under the word new to recolor. So double click on the green and now it'll open up the color picker window and you can scroll anywhere up in here to recolor that a different color. And just remember that you wheel across the rainbow of colors here, but then you have to still select something inside the select color box. Then you hit OK, and make sure, really important, that in this Recolor artwork box that you, down here in the bottom left, is the Recolor art word has a little check next to it. If you have that checked, then you'll be able to see your colorway change in live time. If you don't have that checked, then you won't get to see actually a recolor. So please make sure that's checked. Then you double click on the next color and then again you can just recolor to something else and you can see it change instantly over here. Double click again, another color, and yeah, so this was my colorway number 1, this is now my colorway number 2, same exact stripe layout. Once you recolored these chips here and you like what you see over here, then you can hit OK. And hitting OK will allow this to remain, the new colorway will remain. If you don't hit OK, then it will automatically default back to the same colorway you just had before. So here's 2 colorways of the same stripe. The next thing I need to do is add color chips and color names to my artboard. So in order to do the color chips for each stripe, because there's 3 colors of each stripe here and they need to be represented in color chips down here. So for colorway number 1, I actually still have my origin that I can eyedrop on top of. But for colorway number 2, since I recolored it in the Recolor artwork tool, I can actually, to pull colors out, I'm going to actually, to create color chips, I'm going to actually pull out the swatch from window swatches, and you'll see that it's over here. Because the one thing I mentioned in class is if you click on this fabric swatch, it's actually a flat image of your pattern. So I can't actually take the eyedropper tool on anything inside of there because all it's going to do is copy a pattern swatch that looks like this. What I want to do is actually eyedrop on top of actual colors that make up this stripe. So in order to do that, I pull it out of window swatches. And then you can see in window swatches that this is actually individual stripes like the original origin is. It's not a flat image like this is. So that's why I need to pull it out of here so that I have things to eyedrop. I have colors that I can eyedrop on top of. So now if I'm going to do my color chips, I'm just going to prep doing a color. My first color here, I have it in my origin since I didn't recolor this. I kept it the same. I can eyedrop on the origin of that pink stripe. And then to make my first color chip, I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool. Click and drag to make a little square box. You can hold shift to make a perfect square. And then eyedrop on top of a color. Then release with the black arrow. Now, just like the same thing with the stripes, how we copied and pasted each stripe, we are also going to do the same thing for the color chip. So Command C, Command V. Once you make one square color chip, you're going to copy and paste it to give yourself a second color chip. Take the eyedropper tool, now eyedrop on top of the next color that makes up the stripe. Release, copy and paste. Then eyedrop on the third color in the stripe. And then you will see you have 3 color chips. They are all the same square shape because I copied and pasted to get the next one. And I'm going to misalign these purposely so that I can show you that we're going to use the window align tool again. Take the black arrow, hover over all 3 of those chips, and we're going to align window align. So make sure, again, your window align box is open. You're going to align the chips vertical align top or vertical align bottom, either one, so that they're all flush edge to the top or flush edge to the bottom. And then you're also going to go down here to distribute spacing, and we're actually going to do a horizontal distribute space so that all the spacing in between each color chip is the same. So it'll make it nice and uniform. And now once you have your 3 color chips, you're just going to copy and paste them again to bring them over to underneath colorway number 2. And then you're going to take the eyedropper tool now on the swatch, the stripe swatch we pulled out of window swatches that I can eyedrop on. You can take the eyedropper tool and click on, click on your color chip first to select it with the black arrow. Then you eyedrop on top of the color, and that's when that color chip changes. So you have to select first with the black arrow, eyedropper tool, eyedrop on the swatch to get your next color. Click on the next chip with the black arrow, eyedropper tool to click on the actual swatch over here that is individual colors. And now I have all 3 colors that represent colorway number 2. After you're done that, you can actually just delete that swatch. You don't need it anymore. I only needed it to extract color from. And then the origin, I kind of just keep it off to the side in my working file, but in the midterm, please delete these things off the midterm because I don't want anything around the gray areas in the midterm project. Next thing we're going to do to create the header that I had over here with the title of my collection, colorway 1, colorway 2, and names for my actual color chips. You're going to take, I don't need the window align tool anymore. We don't need the swatches anymore. We're going to take the text tool and you're just going to start typing words out. So text tool, click down real quick and let go. Don't click and drag, and then you will get this word, Latin word, lura ipsum, and you can backspace over it and start typing out your new word. If you wanted to at any time to change the font or the size of your text, whenever you are starting to use the text tool, you will see over here in character, window character, actually it's probably already going to be on your right hand side already available for you. But once you click on a word, and as long as you have it selected, you can click down here and pick a different font. You can also click over here and pick a different size. And if you ever wanted to change the color of the font, you can double click on the fill box and change the color. And then I'm going to start typing what I want as a header above each swatch. I want a swatch for color. I want the header colorway 1 and colorway 2 to be listed right above your fabric swatches. And these two headers right here, we're going to align them. I'm going to purposely misalign them, but I'm going to click and drag over the black arrow over both of the words to select it. And we're going to go back to window align, and we're just going to align our text either to the top or to the bottom. But what I want them to appear is right above, in the corner above each swatch, fabric swatch. And now we're going to go down here with the text tool, and we're going to start typing out some color names and place them underneath each color chip that they are associated with. Feel free to get creative on your color names, or you can be generic and just label it what it is. That's completely up to you. So now I have 3 color names underneath 3 color chips, and I'm going to again align them so everything's nice and professionally laid out. So select all 3 words with the black arrow. You can just hover over it and it'll select it, and then you can vertical align bottom or vertical align top. And you're going to put them directly underneath the color chip that they're associated with. The spacing between each word might be different depending on the length of your word. And then remember, you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard if you just need to move it over a little bit left or right. But just please make sure that your text is aligned so all 3 words appear on the same plane. And then you can also start typing out your next color names. You can also change the size of your text to be smaller here underneath the color chips so that you have more room to use longer color names if you choose. So I'm just going to put them all directly underneath the color chips, and then I'm going to actually I'll take all of the names all at once, clicked on them with the black arrow, hovered over all of them until they were all selected. And I'm going to vertical align top so they're all appear on the same plane across the whole entire artboard. So we want to make sure our color chips are aligned, and actually I don't see that they are, so let's do that as well. So that our color chips are all of our color chips between colorway 1 and colorway 2 are aligned, and all of our text across the bottom is aligned, as well as our headers are aligned. And then this one is its own title, so you just put, as long as you put it in the left-hand corner, we're fine. But that's basically how we would present this stripe collection. And I will follow up with more tutorials for the plaid and also the novelty print in another video.